John, Liam Neeson, is a man living on the edge of survival in the frozen wilderness of Alaska. Employed by an oil company, he protects the crew from wolf attacks, a grim and lonely job that mirrors his own despair. Haunted by the memory of his wife, Anna, who is revealed in flashes to be dying in a hospital, John struggles to find meaning in his existence. On his last day on the job, he writes a suicide note, intending to end his life. But just as he's about to pull the trigger, a wolf's howl pierces the cold night air, grounding him in the harsh reality of life around him. The next day, John and the crew board a plane to return home. Disaster strikes as a blizzard sends the aircraft plummeting into the desolate wilderness. John wakes amid wreckage, cold and disoriented, surrounded by the cries of the wounded and dying. A mortally injured colleague, Lewandin, lies nearby, and John comforts him in his final moments, a harrowing scene that sets the tone for the brutal survival ahead. As John assesses the grim situation, he discovers a wolf scavenging a corpse near the crash site. The beast lunges, forcing John into an early confrontation. After fending it off, he realizes the survivors are in the wolves' territory, a death zone stretching hundreds of miles where the pack will defend their den at any cost. Understanding the danger, John takes charge of the group. With no hope of immediate rescue and surrounded by miles of snow and ice, he organizes the survivors to build a fire and bury the dead, hoping to mask the stench and deter the wolves. The wolves, however, waste no time asserting their dominance. Their howls echo in the night, a chilling reminder of their presence. When Hernandez is dragged away and killed, the group wakes to his mutilated body, a stark warning of the predator's ruthlessness. John proposes leaving the crash site, arguing that it's too exposed. This sparks tension with Diaz, Frank Grillo, a defiant and hot-tempered man who challenges John's leadership. Despite Diaz's resistance, the group agrees to move, scavenging wallets from the dead to return to their families, a somber and symbolic act that adds emotional weight to their plight. Their journey through the blizzard is a test of endurance and resilience. Visibility is low, and the cold is unrelenting. Flannery, injured and unable to keep up, is the next to fall, his screams silenced by the pack. The remaining men press forward, reaching a wooded area where they hope to find some shelter. There, they light a fire and craft makeshift weapons to defend themselves. Tensions boil over when Diaz confronts John again, this time with a knife, but John disarms him in a show of dominance that earns the group's fragile cohesion. They manage to kill an Omega wolf sent to test their defenses, a rare victory that briefly lifts their spirits. Diaz, in an act of defiance, decapitates the wolf and throws its head back at the pack, a reckless move that only escalates the conflict. As the group sits around the fire, the emotional weight of their situation surfaces. Diaz reveals his atheism and his struggle with meaninglessness. Talget, Dermot Mulroney, shares his faith, while John confesses his own doubts and recites a poem his father once wrote. Once more into the fray, into the last good fight I'll ever know. Live and die on this day. The next morning, the survivors face a new challenge, crossing a steep canyon. Hendrik secures a rope, and one by one the men attempt the dangerous traverse. Talget, paralyzed by his fear of heights, loses his grip and falls to his death, dragged away by wolves moments later. Injured and disheartened, Diaz decides to stay behind, choosing to meet his end alone in the wilderness rather than continue the fight. John and Hendrik press on, following a river in hopes of finding civilization. But the relentless environment claims another victim when Hendrik falls into the icy water and becomes trapped beneath the surface. John tries to save him but fails, leaving him utterly alone. Stumbling through the snow, John arrives at the wolves' den. Surrounded by the pack, he realizes he has no escape. Reflecting on his life, he looks at a photo of his wife and recites his father's poem one last time. Taping shards of glass and a knife to his hands, he faces the alpha wolf in a final stand. As he lunges forward, the screen cuts to black, leaving his fate uncertain. In a post-credit scene, the alpha wolf lies motionless, its fate uncertain, a haunting and ambiguous end to this brutal battle for survival. The Gray masterfully captures the primal struggle of man versus nature, leaving audiences questioning the outcome of this relentless fight for life.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.